Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Roerig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we got a little bit of news. We got some stuff coming up on the horizon. And in full spoilers, we're going to talk about Disenchantment Part 4, which is Season 2, Part 2, because, why not confuse your audience?
Right, really.
Let's kick things off with some news. We got a few trailers. First off, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This is like the third trailer, I believe, for this movie. I'm psyched.
Right.
I like that Nicolas Cage is parodying himself, and I love Pedro Pascal. So
yeah, so it looks like a super fun movie.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be really cool. A lot of parody and a little bit of action and stuff. It's leaning into weird Cage, which is cool. Next up, we had a trailer for Season 2 of Russian Doll. Did you ever watch Russian Doll, the first season?
No, I did not.
It's good. You might want to check it out. It's on Netflix. It's a Groundhog Day series.
Oh, really?
That's what the storyline is. It's like a repeating day, a time loop. It's pretty good, so I'm excited for Season 2. This is one of those shows where it was already going to have a long delay between Season 1 and Season 2. And then, right as they were about to start filming Season 2, the pandemic happened.
Right, yeah.
So it just went even longer. So, yeah, it's finally coming out. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be cool. If you like Groundhog Day, that story conceit of a time loop, it's one of the better ones. Next up, DC's League of Super Pets. This is, I think, the second trailer, and it focuses heavily on Batman, who we find out now is being voiced by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that's the second trailer. It focuses more on Batman and Ace than anything.
I thought it was pretty funny.
It's cute.
Yeah, I like the kind of meta references in it and stuff.
Right, yeah.
The licensing comment about the squeeze toy or something.
It better be licensed.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. I also liked how Batman was talking about, I have so much trauma from my childhood, and the dog's he's like, my parents were taken from me, and he's like, I was taken from my parents. My family. Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, I don't think this is something I'd go to the theaters for, but this is something that when it eventually hits HBO Max, I'll check out kind of thing. It's not enough to motivate me to go to the movies for this movie, though. Especially because there'd probably be a bunch of kids in the audience, and I don't want that. Next up, we had the trailer for The Bubble. So last week we talked about the trailer for Cliff Beast 6.
Yeah, so this is a trailer for the real movie.
Yeah.
Because the last trailer we discussed, that was just a teaser for this movie.
Yeah, it's like a trailer for the movie within a movie.
We've already basically explained the conceit last week, though. Is there anything new to say this time?
No, I think it looks pretty good. I'm excited about it. Just seeing little brief clips here and there of some of the actors in it, like Fred Armisen and Pedro Pascal again.
Again. That guy's showing up in everything, isn't he?
Yeah.
Life's good,
more excited.
But it could be better.
It could be better with just add a little Pascal in your life.
I love Pascal. That was the saving grace of that Wonder Woman movie, I swear.
It is a saving grace, but also his character was kind of the biggest step as well. Just his performance was...
It was just his performance was good,
Yeah. But that's The Bubble. And then we had a trailer for DMZ, which is actually based on a DC comic, I guess. Maybe
based on a DC Vertigo comic.
Oh, okay. I was figuring it was going to be one of DC's kind of mature brand, non-superhero based.
Yeah, exactly. Vertigo was, I don't even think it's still around as as a brand, but it was like their mature brand where like creators could do stuff that didn't have anything to do with the DC superhero universe.
Doesn't DC own a few of those, like Dark Horse and some others too? Or
Dark Horse is independent.
Okay, but they worked with DC or what?
They might have done crossovers.
In my head?
They might have done crossovers with.
I just had a dream one day.
But yeah, like Preacher came out of Vertigo. Sandman did.
It looks like all the Vertigo stuff's getting adapted then, I guess.
Yeah.
That must have started off with Preacher.
Why the Last Man came out of Vertigo.
Yeah. And we got a short-lived series for that.
Yes, yeah, very short-lived series for that. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of that stuff get adapted. But I mean,
do you have any experience with that series? Or?
I don't. I've never read it. I don't know anything about it, to be honest.
I mean, it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic looking type thing, but I think it's just about like military actions between countries. Like it's not.
Yeah,
like
I don't think it's
pandemic
actual,
or a virus or zombies.
I don't think it's an actual post-apocalypse. I think it's a war that's happening.
Okay.
I don't think it has anything to do with. I could be 100% wrong on it, but
it looks like post-apocalypse.
I don't think it actually has anything to do with post-apocalypse.
It's like a segregated zone or something.
Right, yeah.
In that zone, it feels, well, DMZ, I mean, literally stands for demilitarized zone, so.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
But, yeah. It looks like it'll be interesting. I don't know, like that kind of setting has gotten old a little bit, I think, recently. Even though it's not post-apocalyptic, it has that look to it, because it's like the build. You see like one shot real quick with like I think it's the Empire State Building, like the top of it's been knocked off and is like wedged between two other buildings, like upside down. So it's like that kind of stuff, that kind of setting. Yeah, I mean, it's worth like looking into, like to see if it's going to be any good, but I don't know. It didn't bring up my hype at all. Is it something you're looking forward to?
Not really.
Then we got a big trailer. So I was like doing in my show notes, putting up all these trailers, getting everything ready. And I was just finishing and then I popped back on YouTube and all of a sudden this trailer dropped. And I'm like, well, this has to be covered.
Disney dropped the bomb.
Yeah. The long awaited Obi-Wan trailer. Everybody thought was going to be in the Super Bowl.
You know what's funny? I'm pretty jaded, tired of like all the Star Wars stuff, like, recently.
Did you watch Book of Boba Fett at all?
No, I haven't yet.
I watched like the first episode and completely lost interest. And then the stuff I've heard about has made me go, oh, I should probably check that out just for the fan service, I guess.
But I watched this trailer and yeah, this was a good trailer. I was interested.
Yeah. I mean, it looks expensive at very least.
Well, yeah, at the very least. It does look actually interesting too, on top of it. I don't know, it's just a trailer, but I liked how they had the villain like explaining how they hunt Jedi and stuff. And basically they're like, oh, Jedi can't help themselves from like helping people and shit. So like, that's what you gotta look for. I thought that's interesting. Then they showed some characters who could be interesting characters. A lot of different Sith characters they're showing. And I just thought, okay, this could be something.
Yeah.
And I do like Ewan McGregor's performance as Obi-Wan too. So
he's got the high ground.
He's got the high ground. Yes. And we know Hayden Christensen's coming back for this.
Yeah. At first, for a moment, I'm like, is that guy, that Jedi Hunter, supposed to be him or something?
That's what I thought weird for a second, but I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But we do know, like, the guy in the trailer is the Grand Inquisitor. It's funny because, like, Anakin looks something like that at the end of, like, face, Jedi. Yeah. Like he's really face. Messed up. I wonder if Hayden Christensen is going to have the milk face or if he's still going to look like Hayden Christensen in this.
I mean, in episode 3, he was already in like full Vader costume at the end. Yeah. So it'd be kind of weird if they had him out of it, or they could, I guess, have him take off his helmet occasionally and you see him all messed up. I don't know. We'll have to see what we get from that, but it looks good. I'm more excited for this than I was for Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
But that's not saying much because, like I said, I stopped watching Book of Boba Fett after one episode. One thing I do like is, and they started this with Moon Knight, is using the Disney Plus logo at the end, using that little arc. Like in the Moon Knight trailer, they had Moon Knight jumping it, and here they had like the lightsaber cutting through.
Yeah, they're doing stuff with the logo.
Yeah, I like cute little things like that, I like the green Warner Brothers
corny.
Logo in the Matrix.
I thought it was kind of cheesy, but okay.
I like all that kind of stuff, like to a limited extent. Like I don't want to see it in the series, but like on a trailer or something, I think it's funny or cool.
Right.
But that's it for the trailers. Some other news we have is that Amazon apparently wants to make a God of War show. This is Deadline reporting, but it's unconfirmed. But, it's like a major rumor from a major source in Deadline. if this is true, it's supposed to be overseen by Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby, who created The Expanse, as well as Raph Judkins, who did the Wheel of Time series. So it looks like Amazon's kind of leaning on their current showrunners to try to help any other productions they're building up. So I'm guessing the expectation is that this is going to be kind of based on the new version of God of War versus the old games, because the new version's more narrative driven. So it's kind of interesting because this is another Sony property being made. Right now, they're also making the Last of Us series at HBO that's got Pedro Pascal in it as well. He's showing up all the time.
Yes, he is.
And that series is, well, Last of Us is doing that kind of lone wolf and cub kind of story about a person taking care of, a younger person and helping them get through like a bad kind of environment, a post-apocalyptic world in the case of The Last of Us, with the character taking like a father-like role to the female character, Ellie. In this, it's kind of doing the same thing. They did that with the new God of War games with like Kratos having like a son and kind of guiding him through the world and everything that's going on there as like the story conceit. So this is like this new kind of, I guess, it's been like a trope in movies and stuff for a while, but I guess it's going to be the new go-to trope for video games.
Right.
And now we're getting adaptations of all those. Sony also did, Uncharted recently as a movie, and they have a Twisted Metal series in development at Peacock that we mentioned last week. And there's a lot of other video game properties in development, a lot through Amazon, actually. Amazon's like doubling down on, I guess, video game adaptations and fantasy. Those two, they're like ordering a bunch of. So yeah, that's that. Are you excited about that at all?
I don't care. I don't really care about God of War. To be honest, God of War, like, it was a fun action game of it. Like the story, like I haven't played the new one, but the story was just angry McAngry face kills gods because he's angry guy.
And he can't get out of a room because he won't shoot up.
Yeah.
I will never.
And I was like, that's not a compelling narrative. Anything. Come on. If anybody played the original God of War games for a story, I don't freaking know. But like, I guess like the new game does a lot of work in like toning him down and humanizing him and trying to make it like an actual narrative of it. So like, that's probably the route they'll go.
It won a bunch of like Game of the Year awards and stuff when it came out. So that was pretty well beloved. So it'll be interesting to see kind of, I mean, we don't even know if that's the direction they're going, if they're just going to go the direction of the old series. But they have the showrunners and the creators of The Expanse overseeing it. It doesn't look like they're going to be running it, but they're overseeing it. That's a good sign. It would be even better if they were running it, but
right.
We'll see what ends up happening with that. Our next news story is that DC has delayed a bunch of their movies, moved like one of them forward, I think, but delayed a bunch of them. The Flash was going to come out on November 4th this year. It's now coming out on June 23rd next year. Aquaman, the second one, was coming out at the end of this year, and it's now coming out in March of next year. DC's League of Super Pets has moved to July 29th, which was originally Black Adam's air date, but that got pushed back to the end of this year to October. And the one that was moved forward was Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, which was moved forward from June 2nd of next year to December of this year, which is interesting because we're going to be getting Black Adam in October and Shazam 2 in December. And those two are kind of like, of all these projects, are the most like linked between the two, because Black Adam is basically a Shazam character. So if you're interested in all that stuff, yeah, there's a bunch of delays and stuff. In addition, it looks like Wonka, the Timothée Chalamet version or movie, has been delayed as well from March 17th, 2023 to December 15th, 2023. So that's it. Lots of delays for DC stuff.
Nice.
And our next piece of news is that, also related to DC, the Batman spinoff series about the Penguin, which I think we've mentioned before on this show. It's kind of been a known thing, but it wasn't official. And now it's been officially ordered, and it's going to be run by Lauren LaFranc, who was a writer on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So she'll be the showrunner for this, and it's going to be starring, who's playing the Penguin in the Batman? Colin
Farrell.
Colin Farrell, that's it. I brain farted on his name. But he's going to be returning as the Penguin, and Matt Reeves is going to be producing the series, but not running it. As I mentioned, that's going to be Lauren LaFranc that's running it. So that's it for that. You excited about that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be cool.
It looks like the Peacemaker experiment was a success for DC.
Yeah, I think so. They were planning to do these things before Peacemaker became a success.
Yeah.
This is always the plan.
Officially ordered though now, so I guess they probably want that out there, just the news that it's ordered out there for the people that like Peacemaker so they know that more's coming, because there's rumors and stuff, but nothing was official yet. And then our last piece of news is a big one, and that is PlayStation had their State of Play event. You're going to have to guide me through this one because I was out today and missed all of it and just kind of briefly glimpsed through a few of the trailers, and that's it.
So they opened on a huge troll. They opened with a game with dinosaurs pouring out of the sky. Then they showed a girl with red hair as one of the main characters. And then they said Capcom. And you're thinking, oh shit, this is Dino Crisis. That's Regina. This is happening. And it's they showed a bunch of gameplay, it's shooter. Then they ended Exoprimal, and it's a new IP. And
I'm looking at the Exoprimal logo, and it looks like such an energy drink logo.
It looks like the Monster Energy drink logo.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was oh, okay. Capcom just trolled the heck out of everybody with that. The actual game itself I don't care. It looks mid. It looks like a dumb shooter.
Is it a game of service?
Probably. Who knows? But yeah, it doesn't look all that interesting. I just thought it was funny. Capcom had to know how that would have looked. Come on. That was pretty funny. The next thing they showed was Returnal Ascension, which is it's an expansion add-on for Returnal. It adds a new co-op mode and a huge tower. They have to work your way up floor by floor. I gotta be honest, I've never played Returnal. Not super interested in it, so not really much interest for me in this either.
So meh.
And then the next thing they showed was Ghostwire Tokyo.
That's coming real soon, isn't it?
Yeah, March 22nd.
Yeah.
It actually does look better than the last time I saw it. So, I have some interest in it. I'm not super interested in it.
This is Mikami, isn't it?
It is Mikami, yes. Well, he's producing it.
Okay.
I think the next thing they showed was Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
Oh, boy.
With the new trailer for that.
Chaos.
There's a demo out now on PlayStation 5.
Is this a new demo or the old one?
No, this is a new demo. New demo on PlayStation 5. Your progress in the demo transfers to the full game. Full game launches on March 18th.
So what Linkin Park music is he going to listen to in this one?
Crawling in my skin. These wounds, they will not heal. It's the origin story of the original Final Fantasy villain, Garland, because Jack's supposed to be Garland. He's supposed to turn into the villain at the end, or whatever. Yeah.
I'm so sick of Nomura.
This is Nomura in collaboration with Team Ninja.
Joy.
So they showed a new trailer for Forspoken. It looks like a really fun game. Looks like fast and fluid combat.
And this is the Final Fantasy team, right?
Yeah. This is Studio Luminous, which was set up by Square with I believe a lot of the members of the Final Fantasy 15 team.
Mm-hmm. Well, that Final Fantasy, was it Final Fantasy 15 or one of them where they made the Luminous engine and that was the team?
Yeah, they made the Luminous engine for Final Fantasy 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is using that engine. It looks fantastic. I'm not too crazy about the story. The whole isekai story of a person from modern day Earth goes to a fantasy universe, ends up becoming that universe's savior, is a really played out story trope.
I love isekai. Isekai is my comfort food.
Really?
It's some people, you want to eat mac and cheese and
sit
in front of a TV and watch cartoons. I want to read isekai manga.
Super Mario Brothers is an isekai.
Yeah, the movie. Definitely
definitely the movie. Even the cartoon,
there's a lot of old things that could be classified as isekai or reclassified.
The never-ending story is isekai.
Yeah, never-ending story is isekai. Narnia is isekai.
Yes, it is.
And by that estimation, in a way, so is the Magicians.
Yes, it is.
Except the Magicians has magic in the real world too.
Yeah, magic exists in both worlds in that series.
Yeah.
They showed Gundam Evolution. It's a free-to-play multiplayer shooter. So game says
lost interest.
Yeah, who cares? I don't care.
You lost me at free-to-play.
I super do not care. They showed this game that looks neat to me, Giga Bash, which is a kaiju monster game. It looks a lot like War of the Monsters, which was a kaiju game Sony published for the PlayStation 2. This is not a sequel to that, but looks similar in a similar vein. Looks like a lot of fun. Then they showed off JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, which is...
That's an old game, actually.
Yeah, it's an update on the PlayStation. Yeah, it's an update of the PlayStation 3 games. So it's been remastered and massively updated. The previous version of the game had 32 playable characters. This bumps the roster up to 50 playable characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty neat if you're fans of that JoJo game.
Yeah, anime fighters.
Yeah, anime fighters. They also showed off a Trek to Yomi, which looks pretty neat.
I barely saw any of it, but I like the style. Like, it looks pretty cool.
It looks
I didn't really even see any gameplay.
It looks like a 2.5D, like, samurai game, like in the style like of a Kurosawa like picture. Like it was all black and white.
Yeah. And it's got that kind of like low contrast grayed out kind of tone look to it, which is very Kurosawa.
Yes. And then
that looks pretty cool, but I barely saw anything of it. I know I'll save your favorite one for last.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I know Square, and then Square came out to end the show. Square came out with like a 1-2 punch of announcements. First, they announced the Dio Field Chronicle, which is a strategy tactics style game.
Long-awaited Fire Emblem game. The new Fire Emblem game everyone's been waiting for.
The new Fire Emblem game, the Dio Field Chronicle.
It's a Fire Fantasy Emblem Tactics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the Kotaku article says, it's not Final Fantasy Tactics and it's not Fire Emblem, but it's close.
Yeah.
This one is also coming to Switch and Xbox as well.
It is. It is coming to Switch. That's interesting.
Yes, it is. That one's coming to Switch. And then they also announced Valkyrie Elysium. This is a new Valkyrie profile game. Finally a sequel.
They turned it into an action game?
They turned it into an action RPG instead of like what the series traditionally is. This one, as far as I can tell, Square says it's PlayStation and PC only.
Mm-hmm.
And so that looked interesting. And then finally, like my favorite announcement of this whole thing was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection, which is insane because this is all the classic Konami Ninja Turtles games. And by all of them, I mean all of them.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, because we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game for the arcade. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time for arcade. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on NES. Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES.
Which is like a weird kind of a somewhat compromised port of the arcade game.
Yes, the NES game was a port of the arcade game, just not as good. Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, which was based on for the NES, which was a sequel to the NES version of the arcade game, but the Manhattan Project is based on that, but it's not based on any existing arcade game, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got the NES version of Tournament Fighters. Then they have Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for Super Nintendo.
I had that game. That was like a pretty fun little fighter.
Then they have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist for Sega Genesis. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for Sega Genesis. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall the Foot Clan for Game Boy. Ninja Turtles 2 Back from the Sewers for Game Boy. And Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue for Game Boy.
The three games nobody cares about.
I heard Radical Rescue is actually supposed to be really fun. It's like a proto Metroidvania. Like it was doing Metroidvania before Symphony of the Night. Yeah.
That might be interesting then, but it's Game Boy. Ooh.
But it's
it's going to look rough.
Wow.
It's going to look rough.
Game Boy hate. Without the Game Boy, we probably wouldn't even have a Switch.
Hey, nothing against the Game Boy for its time, but man, playing a Game Boy game now, it's be rough looking.
This will be blown up on your big screen. You'll be fine.
Yeah. It's going from like 10 by 10 pixels.
But this is really cool. And also like Japanese versions of the games will also be included. So this is a pretty comprehensive collection. I love that Konami basically said, okay, like Nickelodeon's giving us the license to do this. Let's just go all out because we're probably not going to get our chance. Instead of just like including like 5 games and calling it a day, they included all of them.
And this is coming
really
to everything.
Awesome. Yes, it's coming to Xbox, PC, and Switch as well.
Yeah. Did you see anything? Is it going to have like online play for?
Yes, it's going to have, I think 4 of the games in the collection have online play. I don't know off the top of my head which one. I think.
What are you going to get this for? Because
Switch.
Okay, so we might be playing this a little bit then.
Oh, nice.
Let's go through the arcade game and shit. You know.
Yeah, definitely. The 11 Japanese versions are there too. The 2 arcade games, Hyperstone Heist for Genesis and Tournament Fighters for SNES, will have online play.
Okay. Did they say anything about who's doing this? Is it like M2 or
Digital Eclipse?
Okay.
Do
they have a history of any of this?
Yes, yeah. They did the Mega Man Legacy collections, stuff like that.
You have those, right? Are those good?
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, Digital Eclipse does good work.
Okay.
They did the Lion King and Aladdin collection for Switch.
Okay, so they do a good job. That's cool.
Yeah, they're good.
And they say anything about the package itself? Like they're going to be like big, the new Capcom Fighter thing's going to have a whole bunch of artwork inside it and stuff. Is there anything?
Yeah, there's going to be extras with this.
Okay, that's cool. Get my TMNT nostalgia.
Yeah, I think it was in the blog post that they posted on the PlayStation blog where they were saying that Nickelodeon has been really cooperative and provided them with tons of artwork and stuff from like the Ninja Turtles' entire history, including comic book stuff and stuff from like the classic series.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is the way to do a collection.
Yes.
All right, so that's cool. That brings an end to our On Beat section. Next, we're going to go On the Horizon. On the horizon. We only got 3 things here, and they're all coming out next week. So, first off, we had mentioned the DMZ miniseries based on the DC comic. We mentioned that already when we talked about the trailer for it. That is coming out on Thursday, March 17th on HBO Max. Then Human Resources, which is the animated spin-off of the Big Mouth series, also animated. I don't know why I put animated before the spin-off when I said that. But the spin-off to Big Mouth. So it's got the hormone monsters and stuff from Big Mouth, but it's kind of focusing on that world where the hormone monsters come from, and the Shame Wizards and all those characters is going to be coming to Netflix on March 18th on Friday. I'm excited for that. You still haven't watched Big Mouth, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Big Mouth is freaking great, so I can't wait for this. This is going to be really fun. And then lastly, and most importantly, also on Friday, March 18th, coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One and X, and PC. Say it with me. Chaos.
Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin.
Yes. It's here to kill chaos.
It's here to kill chaos.
And any interest I have in the game.
And chew bubblegum. You like action games, right? I don't know. I tried demos. The gameplay is pretty fun. And it does look like it has like a lot of classes. So it looks like it's Soulsy. It's Soulsy. It's not fully there. It's not Elden Ring. It's not gonna get you to like.
Do you like Dark Souls? Do you also like Limp Bizkit?
You like Dark Souls? Do you like Limp Bizkit? Do you like
people talking about chaos nonstop?
Do you like Tetsuya Nomura's like insane like ideas? This is Dark Souls by way of Tetsuya Nomura.
Do you like a game that requires higher end hardware but shouldn't because it doesn't look great at all?
Well, this game's on PS4.
Yeah, that's still higher end. I mean, this game should be like a early PS3 game to me.
It's not quite that bad.
It looks like that one game.
Yeah, it doesn't look like top of the line.
Remember that one Japanese game that was kind of like doing the cover mechanic thing that like Gears of War did? There's like a Japanese game that did that, but it was like a fantasy setting. That's what this looks like to me. Like almost identical.
Right. What I played from the demo is interesting. The fact that they have like all the different classes and like all the different stuff you can do with classes should make for some interesting gameplay. Based on what I play, I wouldn't recommend like buying it day one. I don't think like it's amazing or anything. I think it's like a solid B or C tier game.
Unless you're Fred Durst.
Unless you're Fred Durst, then you're probably like a number one. I doubt it's kind of like Babylon's Fall, which like everybody is trashing. IGN gave it like a 4.
All I'm saying is step aside Elden Ring. The new game of the year is here.
I saw like a ridiculous thread on like Recent Era recently where it's like, are you planning on dropping Elden Ring when like Stranger of Paradise drops? I'm just like, fuck no.
All the remaining Limp Bizkit fans went, yeah!
Yeah!
So I'm gonna break some stuff tonight. Oh, God. That's it for our On the Horizon segment. And now our long-awaited full spoiler segment. In this full spoiler segment, we are going to be discussing Part 4, Season 2, Part 2 of Disenchantment. So, you got to catch up through Part 3 recently and then jump right into Part 4. Where are you at? What's your hype on Disenchantment? Are you enjoying it?
I'm pretty done with it.
It does the same thing it always does. Which, like, it starts out, like, not that great. It starts developing it. It does a lot of, like, jokes that just fall flat.
Yeah, the humor...
and then it starts to become interesting, and then it like ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger. The only thing is like I lost interest like in their cliffhanger stuff because like it seems like it starts plot lines and then like goes in a completely different direction.
Yeah, that's the thing is every season starts just dull as shit. It'll like be picking up from a cliffhanger, but then it just starts off the next season really dull.
Right, because it starts like these storylines and like goes off into like a completely other direction, meanders, does other things, then starts more storylines, and to the point like I can't even keep it straight in my head like what's supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know. It just seems like it's all over the place. And yeah, and the humor never really worked for me to begin with. I don't know. Like,
it's weird the way the jokes fall flat. Like,
yes, it is.
It's like it's setting up like it's going to have some cool punchline and it just falls flat on its face. And it's been doing this since the very first season. Yeah. And it's like weird. Like it almost feels like it should have hit, but it didn't somehow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's weird. Like the whole thing is weird because like,
it's like there's a layer of quality assurance that's missing or something.
The creative team is there. The people behind the scenes are there. You got like all the principals like behind Futurama and The Simpsons, you know, like, but those shows are
great
like,
voice actors too.
Great voice actors. Obviously, you have a lot of voice actors crossing over from those projects as well.
Yeah.
There's a reason King Zog is like my favorite character in the show.
But you even have others like that aren't from Futurama or Simpsons, like Eric Andre and
Eric Andre is Demon. I think he does a great job.
I'm brain farting again. Who's your favorite character in What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah, Laszlo. Actor. Yeah, which is funny because Laszlo was in there,
but he's not in this season. Unfortunately, I didn't see him unless I missed it.
What's funny is, I guess, like the leader of the Steam World or something. I was surprised, like, when I heard him, because, like, that's Richard Ayotte.
Yeah.
And he was in 2 shows with Matt Berry. He was in the IT crowd, or the IT crowd, however you want to say it. He was in I think it's supposed to be the IT crowd because it's supposed to be a pun, but whatever. He was in that, and he was in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, also with Matt Berry.
Yeah. So it's a very recognizable voice.
Yeah, it's a very recognizable voice. So, like, hearing him in the show is like, oh shit, they got him and Matt Berry again in the same series.
Yeah. And they got great voice actors, and they're underutilizing them.
They're underutilizing. Yeah, Matt Berry's character rarely shows up, and they could have done a lot with that character actually, but it's rarely used.
So I wrote down, since we're covering the full season, and since it'd been a little bit since I'd watched it, I wrote down some of the plot points that we can kind of go over, like the storylines.
Okay.
So the first is the elves move for Dreamland, the Trog revelation, and Bean's powers are all kind of tied together.
Right.
That
and
seems to be kind of one of the main plot lines.
Well, that's the main plot line going into the finale of this.
Yeah. It's like there's 2 major plot lines going on. There's that, and then the whole thing with Bean and her mom, which seems a little bit separate, but still loosely connected. Which
the thing is, like, I'd be like, oh, you know, like, oh, next season, like, it's gonna be interesting. You know, like, we got the Trog revelation, we got, like, all this stuff happening, Bean discovering her powers, but we just know it's gonna open on more meandering.
Yeah.
That, you know, like, they're probably not even, like, going to discuss anything that happened, like, barely.
And not even, like good meandering. I mean, like, Simpsons is meandering. Futurama did a lot of meandering at points, but it was funny. And that's the tragic flaw here.
Is like, this is just not funny. Yeah, exactly. So, again, it's strange. Yeah, but, like, I don't think there's going to be a next season.
I don't know. I always felt like there wasn't going to be another one.
Well, it was pointed out the original deal with Netflix was for 2 seasons and 4 parts. So they reached the end of their contract with Netflix, and now it's up to Netflix to renew it. There hasn't been any renewal news coming out of Netflix.
Now that the creatives have successfully scraped off all the money they could from Netflix, they're going to go and put actual effort into the Futurama series, I guess.
Which is fine. It's the better series. I'm just going to be real. I mean, hopefully the quality of Futurama stays up, you know, like.
Yeah. We'll have to see. If Futurama's Disenchantment is the sign of things to come, then.
Unfortunately, I was ultimately disappointed in this series. because things were like this in season 1, part 1, and I was like, okay, this show's just beginning. It's trying to find its feet. That's fine.
And it ended kind of interesting. Like,
yeah, it ended kind of interesting. And I just I chalked it up to growing pains.
Yeah.
But I think after
we talked about it on the show, and that was exactly what both you and I were saying, was that the show is a weird bag. It misses a lot of beats, but it looks like it's finally going somewhere. And then part 2 started, and it was right back to ground zero.
Yeah, right back to ground zero. And after 40 episodes, I don't think we can call it growing pains anymore. It's it's just started to run at this point.
The show's been going for 6 years now?
Yeah.
No more growing pains. No more excuses. Some of the storylines that happen in here. Bean was betrothed to Satan.
Yeah, that was less than 1 episode. Again, that was the thing. That was the stinger for the end of last season.
And they never used it. They set up they set up little plot, little bits here and there. There's this one part when you see Satan walking past a mirror or something, and you see this grotesque reflection of what he actually looks like.
Never comes
into play. They had a moment towards the end of the season where Satan is talking quietly to Bean and saying oh, I can't deal with your mother, or something like that. Never even a response in that moment. It was just a throwaway line, it meant nothing.
Yeah. And that was funny too, when they showed what he really looked like. That's the kind of thing you normally only broadcast if that's an important thing the viewer needs to know for something that's going to happen. It seems like that was supposed to be a joke, but I'm what's the joke there? That he really doesn't look like what he's putting himself up to look like. So
yeah, it's
I don't understand.
When they showed that in a kind of subtle way, I was oh, that's cool. Are they going to do? Nope.
No. No. And that whole plot line lasted for that was the episode and that was it. Then we were on to other things. And the whole plot line with head of Steamland wanting to marry Bean, that goes nowhere.
Yeah, that was from part 3. And then they just kind of had a brief scene with the head of Steamland that went absolutely nowhere when they escaped from hell. And
it's not continued in this season.
Yeah, nothing happens. It doesn't go anywhere.
And that's what I mean. They start stuff, it kind of goes nowhere, just peters out. And so it's hard to get invested in what's happening plot-wise when they keep doing this.
I mean, this season starts with Zog in an asylum, and then he leaves the asylum, and that's it.
And it's kind of that doesn't have any effect. Zog's human bear girlfriend.
That was probably my favorite part of the season.
It was, but again, it's another example because he has half human, half bear with her, and he becomes a new central character for the rest of the season. But she falls into a fire, and it's barely a big deal. At the end, it's okay, well, we've moved on now. And then it's shown again in the last episode that she's still alive and she's part of the freak show, but it's also treated as almost like a gag, oh, she's there.
Yeah.
It's hard to say if that's ever going to come into play or if they're just going to not care.
Yeah. We got to see a few scenes with Bean as the queen taking requests from people. Again, they didn't even really show it. They just kind of showed that she was doing it, and then that was it.
Yeah.
We didn't actually see her actually doing any work as the queen. It just it seemed like it was set up, and then that quickly kind of just went away too. And that dived us into the whole story about the evil Bean from the mirror world or something.
Yeah. Well, from her dreams, or something. I have no idea.
Well, they swapped places from a mirror or something, and then Elpo pulled her out, and they quickly killed her off, and then her head was with her mom, I guess, when she was sitting on the throne.
Again, presumably stuff that's going to be picked up in a 3rd season or a part 5. That's probably not going to happen because the show didn't really do numbers for Netflix. But
Bean's mom is just completely useless now.
I'm kind of annoyed also, the fact that they set up this contract with Netflix for 2 seasons and 4 parts, and they had to end on such a cliffhanger. They had to have known when they were writing this stuff that there was no guarantee they would be able to finish this plot line. So I just don't know why it didn't end on at least a semblance of a conclusion.
Yeah, it's such a waste. The idea of the creators of Simpsons and more importantly Futurama in this context doing a show that had a fantasy background was such a cool idea. I was so excited for this when it was first announced.
Me too.
They just dropped the ball over and over again. It's just really disappointing. I guess that's kind of it for our discussion of that. We don't really have anything much more to say about it. You can tell that we're really disappointed in it. I know some other people were disappointed too. So if you were able to get some catharsis from us bashing it, then it was all worth it. Next week on the podcast, we're going to be discussing Our Flag Means Death. I believe it's going to be the first 6 episodes. There's 3 out right now as we're recording it, and I think there's supposed to be 3 coming out tomorrow on Thursday, I believe. So we're going to try to get through all of those and discuss those on next week's episode. That's not the entire season, though. There's going to be some more episodes besides those over the next couple weeks. So that's what we're going to be discussing. Till then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. Will is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. You can look us up on any podcast client of choice, including Apple Podcast and Pocket Cast. So look for us there. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Send us some comments in any way you can, probably best through Twitter. Good, bad, or indifferent. We just like to get some feedback and let us know how we're doing. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.